Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to another Bitcoin and cryptocurrency news. I am George. This is the pre-Thanksgiving live stream. Of course, Bitcoin had some activity this morning, shot up right to 19.5, and then it hit a peak, and then it came back down, right? But 20,000 is incoming. Of course, we know that. Is it going to happen tomorrow during Thanksgiving? Is there going to be a Thanksgiving pump or is there going to be a Thanksgiving dump? One of the two is going to happen, but that's what I want to discuss today, guys. Welcome for tuning in. A lot of us are feeling pretty good. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Time flew this year, right? I'm really shocked that Thanksgiving is here already, and we're really close to Christmas and 2021, and that is where it's going to be very, very, very explosive for Bitcoin and altcoins. We're starting to see altcoins come alive again, right? Nowhere near the levels, well, at least some are, but most are not near levels of 2017. But we know that is coming. We know Bitcoin is going much higher, and there is so much to look forward to. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, smash up the like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that notification bell. Follow me on Twitter, right? And I do have the Vegas fund that is showing for those of you guys that want to join me in Vegas in 2021. And also, I do have my Patreon. So those of you guys that did join, thank you. I am going to be posting some exclusive content there going forward. Well, I have been already, but I'm going to do more in the future. All right. Let's get started. Let's keep it loose today. I do have a lot of articles to talk about. Some more statistics that show that this bull run is very different than 2017. Actually, thanks to I guess just a regular user on Reddit, they brought us something that's a very interesting statistic that I haven't heard anyone else talk about. So I want to showcase that, and I think that's very, very relevant. All right. Let's get started. Bitcoin is hovering around 19,000, 18,967, went up and down this morning. Well, it actually started from last night. Last night, things got a little hairy where Bitcoin started going down, right? And it bottomed out around 18.6. And then you could see that at 15-minute, bottomed out RSI, bottomed out, stochastic bottomed out. And then it came up in a big way this morning. Really shot up this morning. And then it hit 19.5. So 19.5 is now like the local, the temporary top. That's going to be the resistance that we want to see broken. So I'm just going to draw a line because I like to draw lines. And let's draw one right here. Right? So that's twice. And then really suddenly, really rapidly, things started coming down, which it was actually kind of surprised because I saw this going up, and then I didn't check my phone for a little bit. I checked, and I'm like, whoa, we're below 19,000, right? So what's troubling right now is, and I think you guys could see this, it's very visible that this looks like a double top, right? So it's very, very like blatant, like right in front of your face. It's almost like the whales are doing this on purpose to let you know it's a double top. It's ready to come down, right? But that's what whales do. Whales can control the market, and they can throw you signs, and they want to throw you off, right? And this could be one of those things where they're trying to scare you to get out, right? Because you're thinking, oh, it's going to go down, and guess what? Boom, it goes right back up, right? It could be one of those situations, but this is pretty obvious right now, right? Regardless, that's why I started the stream saying if there's a Thanksgiving pump or Thanksgiving dump, we know that this is temporary. This is just temporary. It could only last a day, right? And just continue on afterwards. So this is nothing to be worried about right now. Okay, now, after 20,000, right, we can see something similar, or we can just simply just go parabolic to the moon. Right now, a lot of people are speculating what's coming next, right? But we know that we're moving to a 4-year cycle, the last year of the 4-year cycle, 2021, and that is the most explosive year for Bitcoin. The last year of the 4-year cycle has always been the most explosive. In 2017, Bitcoin went up 1,500%. And 2021, who knows how high Bitcoin will go? 500%, 1,000%, 1,500%, 5,000%, right? We just don't know, and things could be very explosive. So whatever happens short term, right? This is something that you just glance over, or you take advantage of. If you have extra cash on the hand, you're looking for buying opportunities, it could be right around the corner. But then again, maybe this is just a big fake out by the whales, and they want you to think it's going to go down. And then later tonight, going into tomorrow, boom, it goes above 20,000 and just really starts skyrocketing, right? Really unknown at this point. Anyways, let's move forward. I do want to talk about altcoins in a little bit, because there are some that are doing very, very well. For example, Stellar is following in Ripple's footsteps and is pumping like mad. In fact, it's pumping even more. It's up almost 200%, 163% within the last week. So even surpassed XRP, right? And it's still moving up. There are some large groups that's really pumping up Stellar due to an upgrade that they just completed recently. So I'll talk about that. But is there more room to grow? Definitely, because I'm looking at market cap, right? To start pumping a $30 billion market cap coin takes so much more money, right? Than to continue to pump a $4.6 billion market cap coin, right? There's like 7x difference between the two, 6 or 7x, right? So Stellar could continue this pump. But I'll talk about that at the end of this, at the end of the articles I'm going to show you guys. All right. So let's talk about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, this is the first time I've seen him where he's actually throwing caution out in the wind, and he's actually not saying, buy, Bitcoins will go to the moon. He did that in 2017, and it worked for a while. I guess, honestly, it worked for a lot of people. But then his reputation got really burned when things started coming down, and he went on air to tell people to buy Ripple when it was above $3, right? But then again, whatever. We all made the same mistakes, right? So now he's throwing some caution. So he's telling 3 things to watch out for, and kind of the same thing what I've been saying, like watch out. 19,000 could be a top. There could be a temporary bump in the road where it comes down a little bit, and then it's going to continue much higher. That's all he's saying. He's not turning into a bear or anything like that, right? So, what does he say? Number 1, to quote, I'm still a Bitcoin bull. In the long run, I'm going to be a bull for the next decade. But if I take off the long-term investor hat and put on my short-term hedge fund trader hat, there are a couple things out there that I'm starting to see that are signs of a top. Now, I've mentioned this too. Number 1 for him is altcoins are pumping up in a big, big way. And normally altcoins, get the love, get the attention after Bitcoin stalls a little bit. But what we're seeing in the last week or so is not just a sudden or not just a small little pump for altcoins. We're seeing crazy, tremendous pumps in altcoins, right? Like I just showed you guys, Stellar's up 163%, Ripple's up 130%. That's not natural, right? So that the whales are diverting some of their money into these to pump it up. And in the past, when we have seen that, where altcoins really start flying, that usually means that there may be a dump coming right afterwards. So here we go. More than any other asset class in the world, Bitcoin is subject to FOMO. More than anything else, we're starting to see speculative coins that are under $5 start to go up 30-40% a day. Those are type of things that happen short to mid-term tops, right? I tend to agree with that because we have seen many times in the past where that has happened before. All right. Now, he mentioned something else that is different. I don't really study address growth, but Brian does. When I look at the address growth, the market is pricing in about a 25% address growth over the next 30 days. Whenever you get that big of an address growth implied, that is a caution sign. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but Brian always tries to equate, address growth to a dollar value. All right. He always looks at it that way. But I don't see it that way because address growth does not necessarily mean it's all from retail investors or institutional investors, right? We know that people create addresses like mad. like you or I or anyone else, we could have like 20 addresses, right? You could generate addresses all day long and they just stay there forever, right? The addresses never get burned. They're just always there forever. So I don't necessarily agree that address growth actually is like a 1-to-1 ratio or 1-to ratio to number of new people coming into the market. So I don't know if I 100% agree with this, but based on what he's saying, this projected address growth is just too high. So that could signal a top as well. The last one is we're starting to see retail come into this market, and you're starting to see interest rates that it charges on margin go much higher. I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't know why that's an indicator of things, a localized top. Okay, so I'm not gonna comment on that because I don't understand what he's trying to say. But but I think the biggest one that I do agree with him is usually when you see altcoins really start flying, like what we're seeing now, we're seeing things left and right. I was just on Binance and looking at it, like OMG is pumped up like 40%, and you're seeing all these things being pumped up 30, 40, 50, 100% daily. Random coins that's pumping up with no news at all, right? I think that is a little scary. I'm a little wary about that, that maybe that is a signal of a temporary stop, and maybe Bitcoin was going to come down from here, right? Because a lot of people predicting that 20,000 is the point that Bitcoin will start coming down. It'll retrace in a big way, and then it'll continue forward, right? A lot of people are thinking that, but maybe it doesn't hit 20,000. Maybe 19.5 is that point, right? And now it's getting ready to come down. But then again, this all could be a fake out, and Bitcoin just shoots past up 20,000 and continues forward, right? The whales are trying very, very, very hard to kind of confuse you, right? That's what they try to do because they want you to sell, and then they want to grab your Bitcoin from you, right? They want that wealth transfer from the weak hands to the strong hands, and they're still doing that. But for most part, most of you guys that have been in it for a while, right? Those games. You don't fall for it, right? Temporary drops like this is not going to make you fall for it. But this type of game does make the newcomers fall for it, right? They get scared. They have weak hand. They sell out because they're like, things are going to go down. They're going to go down a big way. I better save my money, right? And then guess what happens? Their Bitcoin gets transferred to these whales, and more importantly, these large whales that's coming in, right? Institutional investors. You got like Grayscale, PayPal, Square, all these other guys, MicroStrategy, and on and on and on and on. They're buying up every single Bitcoin they can right now. So there's no new Bitcoin that's coming into the market because they're all being gobbled up. I just talked about this yesterday, in fact. So any person that's selling their Bitcoin, it is gone. It is gone. You're not going to get it back. It's going to these guys' pockets. They're lining their pockets with Bitcoin, and you don't want to fall for that game, right? Another game that someone picked up, and this is very, very interesting, is that someone looked at the order book on, I believe this is Bitfinex, right? And you could see at 19.4, basically 19.5, okay, 19,490, right? Look at this. $500, $500, $500, $500, right? So this is clearly, some whale that's trying to control the market, trying to make sure that Bitcoin doesn't go above 19,500, which is what we're seeing here, right? And I've noticed other people say, if you look at the order books of other exchanges like Binance and so forth, it's the same kind of wall. So there's someone out there or groups of people that is coordinating together and trying to make that like a temporary top, right? And like I said, this could be a game, right? Because they make people fearful, make people sell, and then guess what? They buy up the Bitcoins, and then they release this wall, and Bitcoin goes much, much higher, right? So this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of games that the whales are still trying to play, right? The bears are definitely out right now. The bears have just lost everything. So right now, it seems like Bitcoin just continues to move higher and higher and higher and higher, and then these whales are trying to do what they can to kind of what I just said, right? Pry on people's emotions, trying to scare them out of their Bitcoin, trying to accumulate as much as they can, because we all know Bitcoin is going much, 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 much higher, and then it just becomes so much harder to accumulate, right? So this is another indication that there's some game playing going on right now. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen later today, moving in tomorrow, whether or not this sell wall, this gigantic sell wall gets removed and Bitcoin starts flowing and hits 20,000 and then things just explode to the moon. Who knows? Who knows? All right, let's move on. What else is there? Well, Van Eyck is launching a 49, or actually their 49 billion fund manager. Large number, but not the biggest in the world. But anyways, Van Eyck, they were famous for, well, they have a lot of ETFs. They're actually known for a lot of ETFs, exchange traded funds. They've tried to come out with a Bitcoin ETF for a long time, but the SEC keeps denying them. So they decided to come out the ETN product for the European market. So if you're Germany, Netherlands, UK, you can actually buy this new ETN. ETN is not exactly ETF. I don't know exactly how it works, but you can get exposure to Bitcoin by buying this ETN. It's not available in the US yet, but just yesterday I covered how Jay Clayton, the SEC, he seems like he has turned the corner on Bitcoin. He says it's not a security, it's a payment mechanism with a store value, and the reason why it's doing so well is because the current payment mechanisms of the United States is failing, and that's why people are turning to Bitcoin. So he seems like he turned bullish on Bitcoin. But anyways, with that said, I think a Bitcoin ETF will be approved in the near future. Now, Bitcoin ETF is very different than futures and options, right? When you have exchange traded funds, that means that any fund that's based on Bitcoin will need to actually have Bitcoin on hand. So it's very different. It's kind of like Bitcoin futures that's settled in Bitcoin, right? It requires the company to have Bitcoin, but most people do cash settled futures, so it's different. But with ETFs, if it ever comes out, it's going to require the fund manager or the fund company to have a ton of Bitcoin to be able to offer it. So it'll be good. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a game changer, but it's getting there. It's getting there. So anyways, Van Eyck does have this new ETN that's released in Europe. Okay, now I want to talk about a few things that show that FOMO, right? Retail FOMO is building up, but it's really not there yet. It's really not there yet. Nowhere close to 2017. And what we're seeing right now is, Bitcoin's rise. What we're seeing right now is really driven by the institutional investors. Okay. Number one, I've been showing you guys this for a long time. Google Trends, just search term for Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin, after this last week, right, it is at all-time high for this year. So finally, the number of people searching for Bitcoin is actually higher than in May and in March, okay? But if you go back and compare this to the last 5 years, to 2017, this is still nothing. It's still a blip. In fact, it's still lower than July of 2019, right? So, number one, this shows you what's going on right now, right, is not really affecting retail FOMO. Retail investors, average Joes, they're not looking up how to buy Bitcoin right now, okay? And someone made a comment, I saw, I think, in yesterday's video. They're like, George, of course, people that's been in it since 2017, they're not going to be looking up Bitcoin, right? Yeah, we know that. They're the holders, but what we're looking for is new money to flow in, right? New money flowing in is going to drive things higher. So right now, in terms of retail investors, there's really no new money coming in. We're very little compared to 2017. So in 2021, this is going to start going up in a big way. Okay, but I've shown you guys that before. But here's the thing. This is what I said at the beginning of the stream. So on Reddit, looked at, right, the fees. This was the biggest reason why Roger Ver split off Bitcoin Cash from Bitcoin, because he's like, oh, the Bitcoin dev, group, they're limiting a block size, so the fees are too high, right? And blah, 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 blah. He split off Bitcoin Cash. And the reason why Bitcoin Cash's fee is so low is because absolutely zero people are using it. No one is using it. That's why the fees are low on Bitcoin Cash. But anyways, someone pinpointed this, saying that look at it now, right? Confirmation time, the fees for Bitcoin transactions, we're at 19,000. It's still dirt low compared to 2017 when it took forever to confirm, right? And the fees were very high for Bitcoin. So why is that? why is it? It's so low now, but so high before? Because retail FOMO didn't hit. In 2017, every person, your parents, your grandparents, your coworkers, everyone was trying to jump on Coinbase, trying to jump on Binance. Everyone was purchasing left and right and transferring, and basically everyone was trying to become like a day trader and stuff like that, right? And that is why the transactions were like clogging up, right? Everything clogging up the network. But right now, that's not what's happening, right? And look at this. This is very interesting. This is a chart of the balance that is on all the exchanges. Now, when I say all, I don't know if they really mean all, but they do track the big ones. So you could see since March of this year, the balance, basically the Bitcoin and anything else that's left on exchanges have been decreasing. And this is decreasing at an increasing rate. So the number of people that are becoming holders is increasing. They're stopping their day trading shenanigans, right? They're just holding, and that's why they're moving off from the exchanges, going to their Ledger or Treasure, whatever hardware wallet, right? And then you could see it actually crossed over. So now that Bitcoin's going up, this is actually decreasing more, right? So again, this proves that retail FOMO didn't hit, right? Retail investors didn't come in, because if they all came in, then this will start coming back up. And if this comes back up, then transactions will start going up and fees will start going up. But none of that has happened. None of that has happened. And is this a good thing? Yes, it's a good thing. Because right now, the big money, the smart money, they're buying behind the scenes. We know that. Grayscale bought over $800 million worth of Bitcoin within a single week. 800 million, close to $1 billion in a single week. They've been ramping up. They're ramping up because investors are giving them money to do so, right? So every single Bitcoin that is coming out from the miners, they're already being bought, right? And that's just one company. Another statistic showed that PayPal bought 70% of all mined Bitcoins just at the beginning, when they didn't even really deploy yet. So everyone is grabbing a piece of pie. But when these guys buy, they do it on the OTC market. They conduct their buys through thousands and tens of thousands and 100,000 transactions to keep the price level, right? But they can only do it so much, because the OTC market dries up. And guess what happens? Then the OTC market has to buy from the open exchanges, open market, and then that is why Bitcoin slowly goes up and up and up, right? So that's what's happening right now. But, retail FOMO didn't hit, and when it does hit, like 2017, it's just going to be more fuel on the fire, and it's just going to really make things go crazy. And I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully you guys are too. Now, I did see this article, so I want to just bring it up to you guys. I don't know how serious Binance is, but remember in 2017 or 2018, Binance opened up Binance.US because they said US customers cannot trade on Binance, right? Now, Binance is now trying to crack down on it, because that was more like a empty threat. I know most of you guys know what I'm talking about. If you had an account on Binance and you're a US citizen, it has not been shut down. It's still open. But it seems like they're getting serious about it, because the regulators may be coming down on them. And if you don't withdraw your funds to another exchange like Binance.US and you're a US citizen, they can just shut down your account. And you have to open a ticket to get it, open to withdraw. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. Those of you guys that didn't look at Binance.US for a while, you'll be surprised, because it works exactly the same way. And the number of trading pairs have increased dramatically. Almost every single crypto that's on Binance is on Binance.US, so it's pretty much identical. Just want to give you guys a heads up about this. Lastly, I talked about Stellar. Stellar Lumens XLM has shot up to the moon, 160, basically 170% within the last week. The only news that relate to this is due to an upgrade, and I don't really even understand the upgrade. Now, XLM is trying to, I guess, they're really trying to go against. I mean, they're trying to differentiate themselves from XRP, but more or less they're still in the same space. But this big upgrade is called Protocol 15. and it opened up a few new features that I still don't quite understand. Stellar Protocol Upgrade 15 includes two components designed to enhance user experience while retaining defense against farm attacks and other methods in which bad actors may subvert the purpose of the network. Okay. After the upgrade, developers can create simpler and better experiences that abstract way of complexity of blockchain and do so without losing any of the advantages of fast, cheap, permissionless public ledger. Okay. So that's dumbing it down. But when I read like the technical stuff, what they did, I just didn't understand it. But anyways, this was what happened recently. But does this explain 150% pump or 170% pump? Not really. Not really. But there is some excitement. Same thing with Ripple. There is a fork that's coming off, and they're getting into smart contracts, right? So does that explain Ripple's 140% climb? Not really. So both of these are just being pumped right now. It's a good opportunity to do so. And they're not alone, right? There's a lot of altcoins that have been doing really, really well over the past week. Case in point, Cardano is up 58%, not too shabby. Some of these other ones I'm glancing over like Chainlink, Polkadot, BNB, 15 to 20%, not too bad. EOS is pumping up 44%. They've been really stagnant for a long time. Tron up 40%. Tezos almost 40%. NEM, NEO 40, 50%. VeChain, this is one project I do like, over 53%. Those of you guys have been giving up on VeChain. Luckily, you haven't. It has gone up in a big way. Dash, IOTA, goes on and on and on, right? So altcoins are definitely coming up in a big way. And that's good. That's good. Usually when Bitcoin stalls, consolidates, that's when the money flows in. But I'm a little concerned that so many of these are being pumped up so fast right now. So kind of goes with what Brian Kelly says. And I've been saying this too, that maybe there's a temporary top that's coming. We'll just have to wait and see. All right. So I'll turn to you guys now. Said a lot. Let's do some Q&A. I have not tried Celsius. I haven't tried any of these lending programs where either staking or lending. I haven't tried any of them. I don't recommend leverage at all. Be the change. If you're asking if you try to leverage, what point do you get liquidated? They would tell you. Usually it's a 50% thing. So if it goes down more than 50%, you get liquidated, something like that. It may be even less. You have to look at it, but still, I don't recommend it at all. I don't recommend it at all. Because I'm sure at 19.5, a lot of people leveraged or put out collateral, bought more, right? And then now it's getting iffy, right? So you don't want to do that, because if you get liquidated, there is no chance to recover. But if you're holding, there's always a chance to recover. So I don't like that. OMG is pumping due to no news at all. OMG I do like because their network is so robust. They're a layer 2 solution for Ethereum. Their network is so robust that Tether decided to move their entire network to OMG because the fees on Ethereum is just too high. So that shows trust, and it does show that the network can scale in a good way, right? But right now, if you're asking me about Tether because it went up like 40 or 50%, there's no reason for that. It's simply being pumped right now. So that is the one thing that I'm concerned about, is so many altcoins are being pumped right now when there's absolutely no reason for it, right? So that is concerning. So previous times when altcoins are doing that, what follows isn't a good thing, okay? So you got to be careful a little bit. If you're being greedy right now, maybe you should not be so greedy. Maybe get some cash on hand, because if this double top does play out and we go down, right? Or this correction that people are predicting that will happen at 20,000, you want to be able to take advantage of that. Have some cash on hand, be able to buy, right, and continue forward. Take advantage of it, and then we'll go ahead and break 20,000, right? So just be careful about that. Speaking of Tether, it still scares me that Tether could crash the market. Yeah, that's a possibility, but it's less and less likely because the New York financial, I forgot what is New York Financial District, but whatever regulatory body in New York, they've been looking at Tether for a long time, and their attorney general has been looking at Bitfinex and Tether and all this stuff, right? So they're under a lot of scrutiny. So whatever, if they pulled some shenanigans before, I don't think they're pulling it now because they're being looked at. Blade Runner, that's what we want to see. Or at least that's what I want to see. Those of you guys that are tuning in late, I'm watching the count go up. Make sure you tune in. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future streams. How about BAT tokens? You know, I've been getting emails how they had like affiliate program. They're ending that. So that's unfortunate. But BAT is still, well, at least Brave. You know, I'm actually showing you guys this on Brave. Brave is a great browser. Just that it's not that many people care about the BAT rewards right now. But if it picks up, it'd be a very, very good thing. The way the advertisers and publishers and users, you know, they have this really good triangle setup, right? Where it's all using BAT. I actually really like that setup. But, you know, they haven't fallen that much. You know, they're still hovering like 30s, in the 30s, I think. Where's BAT? Did I pass him? Maybe I did pass him. Yeah, they're still at 400 million, right? So it's not like they've fallen to a ultra small cap. They just more or less been hovering sideways, but they're still doing very, very well. Well, very well indeed. So I like Basic Attention Token a lot. It's just a matter of, you know, waiting for them to come back. 400 million, they're right around, wow, 400 million is at 50th. Man, how things have changed. You know, not too long ago, you go down the list, like number 50th would be at like 100 million, and top 100 would be at like 20 million. That has changed. Things have come up in a big way, which is really, really good. Screwing the tuna, I appreciate that. That's what I want to do. You know, some people say my shows are too long because I chat too much, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It makes make things a little bit more fun and engaging. No, I don't have anything in Yearn Finance. I mean, I don't like yield farming at all. So, and that's what Yearn is. So I haven't looked into them. The only two DEXs, I mean, the only two DeFi projects I like is Aave and Uniswap. Because Aave, their model, like as a lending platform, works, and I really like how they kind of revitalized themselves, because they used to be ETHLend or ETHLend, and I covered them for a while, and then I kind of lost track. They rebranded and really built something that is really nice. Basically, they were like DeFi before DeFi existed. And Uniswap, of course, is a big DEX. A lot of people are using them, trying to get away from centralized exchanges. So the DeFi projects I like are Uniswap and Aave. Low roller. That's because that guy, whoever does that, just has no life, and I can't do that. Talk about XM. Someone asked me this yesterday because they already started pumping for a while, but you know, it's hard to chart something when it just goes up astronomically to the moon, right? So if you go to the weekly, it's like, okay, boom. But if you're looking at, let's say, like a smaller window at 15 minute, it actually looks pretty good. So if you're doing something like I don't want that line. Let's do a couple trend lines here. So if you're looking at like this, something like that, and we'll do another one here. You know, that's looking pretty good. Keep in mind, this is a short term. This is a short interval. It's only 15-minute, right? But when you see something like that, that's what's a rising wedge or rising pennant. That's usually a pretty good sign, because what happens after this is usually like this, right? But with that said, I mean, Stellar has gone up 170%, okay, within a single week. So if you're looking at a higher time frames, right, like here on the daily, if you look at, say, RSI, is at 92. And that's very, very, very high. In fact, you go back, I don't think, you know, it's ever been that high. No, I take that back. In 2017, it got as high as 99. So right now it's 92. So it hasn't matched 2017 FOMO yet, but it's really, really high. And weekly, same thing. Weekly is at 85, and previously it was at 94, 92. So there's room to grow, but you gotta be careful. But it's interesting on the short term, 15-minute actually looks pretty good. Kelby, is the IRS able to track Uniswap transactions? Yeah, it's all on Ethereum. So yes, but they haven't really looked into it yet. Anything that's not a privacy coin can be looked at. So that is why, you know, exchanges are delisting Monero, Dash, Zcash, anything that can't be tracked. They're forcing the exchanges to kind of stop listing it. But anything else can be. Anything on the blockchain for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tron, I mean, anything could be tracked. Jeff, Daisy died like a year ago, man. She got really sick. I posted on Twitter. She got cancer and died. So that was really sad. But that was a long time ago. I think that was last year. Maybe it was earlier this year, but it's been a while. She was a good dog. Okay. Low roller. I don't really care at this point. See, what I'm noticing right now is a lot of the people that's coming back to the live chat, like you, Jeff, are people that watched me before and they just left for years. So it's the same people. This kind of relates to the retail FOMO, right? That retail FOMO didn't really hit. The number of new people that's coming in to even my chat is more or less the same people that just got out here. But in terms of new people coming in, it hasn't happened yet, right? But in 2021, that is where it's going to be different. When retail FOMO really hit, that's when this will start going up. And then in the live chat, I'm guessing we're going to see a lot more basic questions like, what is Bitcoin? Should I buy Bitcoin? Should I go all in on Bitcoin? Questions like that. But hasn't happened yet, but probably in 2021, we'll see a lot more of that. Mark, just roll back like 10 minutes. I just got done talking about it. I don't know much about mainframe, so I can't talk about mainframe. DJ. Yes, you should sell your kids for Bitcoin. You'll gain more you'll gain more wealth from your kids rather than lose your wealth from your kids if you do it that way. I'm just kidding, in case you couldn't tell. All right. I am going to go let you guys go and get some lunch. But overall, Bitcoin is going to experience a Thanksgiving pump or dump. It's going to come, but either way, 20,000 is incoming. We know that is right around the corner, right? There's still some disbelievers, And I can understand the disbelievers at 12,000, 14,000, right? When we were still there, we couldn't break through some of these previous highs, but we're no longer there, right? We're no longer at 10,000, 12,000, 14,000. We're not even at 16,000 or 17,000. We are now at 19,000, and we are inching closer and closer to 20,000. That is a fact, and we are going to break through it, and we're going to go much higher. But short term, there might be a temporary stop, right? There could be. A lot of people are predicting that right around here, 19, 20,000, we may get a temporary stop and retrace a little bit. But I see it as a win-win-win-win situation. If it does go down, great. It's a buying opportunity, and we know it will come up in a big way and move forward, right? If it doesn't come down and goes sideways, guess what? The altcoins benefit, right? Like what we're seeing now. So those of you guys that are holding altcoins, you'll benefit from that. And if neither of those things happen and Bitcoin just skyrockets to the moon, then of course you benefit as well. So right now what I'm seeing is a win-win-win situation, and that's what I like, and I think you guys like that too. So happy Thanksgiving in case I don't have a stream tomorrow, but I might, just to see, you know, if something drastic happens tomorrow, I'm going to probably have a stream. So if I do, it's going to be at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, just in case, right? And of course, if you want to join me on Vegas, I do have my Vegas Fund open and my Patreon page, right? If you guys want to interact with me more outside of the stream, you could do so within my Patreon Discord chat. All right, guys, that is it. I haven't had one single person ask me about XRP, so I'm not going to show my infomercial today, but maybe next time, just a reminder. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.